Hi guys, back here again with another video, this time a tier list. If you've seen other tier list videos and you think this is just another video I don't want to watch because another tier list of the upcoming format, response number one, just please give me any content you think you would like me to talk about. I feel like I have a really good understanding of the format. I'll get into that as the tier list goes on. So I just want to know what like people actually think is interesting. Like, is me talking more about how Sword Soul is getting worse without Protoss, how it's like a completely different deck. It's interesting. I can reiterate that, or I can like try to make it get into more of the intricacies, or even with another deck or another subject. But I don't want to just make Sword Soul videos. So response number two, I'm just going to try to make this plain and simple and, pretty straight to the point with a lot of these decks. It's, four categories. Tier 0 is only going to be one deck just because I think it's so much better than the rest and it's pretty annoying. Tier 1 is just going to be the decks that can still win an event. They're still pretty good. And then the promising category is just these decks that I think really kind of got a boost maybe by Protoss being banned, or by skill drain going to 3, or just Nib not being as good as it was because of the adventure package, and that's true with other hand traps. So it's pretty much going to be more meta calls than before. So if you're thinking of picking up a deck or making meta call, or you enjoy playing a deck, I'll tell you how I think you would do at the YCS Las Vegas. So let's get into it. So I'll go from the I know everyone does the bottom top. I'll do top bottom. So tier 0, get over with. Definitely PK. This deck is so annoying. I mean, they play more bricks, right, with the adventure package. Kind of wrong. They lost the graph and seer they would have to play. So there's 2 less bricks. So with the added adventure package, is way smoother, way straighter to the point. I think Forbidden Droplets is one of the best cards right now. And, PK utilizes that best. So they utilize the counter card to their own deck the best. And, they just make the best turn 1 board consistently, which is, Scythe through Droplets. It's hard. All these decks use the extra decks. But I'll get into why I think, deck like Floowandereeze might be able to capitalize on that. Or Eldlich, right? Not needing your extra deck. Although there's things I've thought about with Drytron even, where you could just play an Honest going second with the 4K guy, but these are just really janky combos. So for tier 1, I think the first deck I want to just count on is Sword Soul. I think Sword Soul is really consistent, really strong, but a little too fair. I think it's not going to really like win, or I'm just less confident in it winning an event than I was before, and that's literally just because of the Protoss hit. I mean, it would actually have a chance versus... Sorry, those Facebook notifications were getting me so annoyed. But it does suck that Protoss being gone means that we don't play Sword Soul and call Blind Dark because, it's just free, and then you just hit PK and they just lose if they go second. Now PK is just doing that to literally everything instead of, just this balancer of Sword Soul hitting PK when they go first blind. And that's just like such a problem because PK becomes so much better. And when you think of counter cards like Mystic Mine, they don't even really work because they have the Omni Negate. So you're regardless going to need 2 cards unless it's Droplets. Next deck, I think I'll do this one just because it's a variant that with Sword Soul, I didn't want to just do Sword Soul Virtual World because there's just no picture, but I think that's actually a really good deck too, and I would put it in the tier 1 spot. I think, or maybe even promising. I think Sword Soul Virtual World is a really unique deck that can do insane combos now with Destrudo. Even Fairy Tale Snow is like has potential, right? But Virtual World can do the Scythe combo, and with their Choo Choo and the Baron to play around Droplets as well, and sending it with Beatrice. So I think this deck with the new Punk cards just got a lot of like random extra power. Also, people aren't playing Nibiru because the PK is just so strong with the adventure package. It's always on the 5th summon, 2 level 3s, make Cherubini, that's 3 summons, token 4, and then Omni Negate 5. So because that decks that can capitalize like Salamangreat or Dragonlink on decks not playing Nibiru are gonna get way better. And I think that Virtual World just getting this random support 3 E-Teles even makes it a lot better. And I don't know if it's better than Invoked or something, but I still think it's just like one of those decks that's just really hard to play. And if a lot more better players played it, it would probably see a lot better, what's the word, representation, credentials, yeah. So next deck would be Invoked. Now, Invoked is just one of those decks that is literally the same. It can use droplets kind of well. It plays hand traps, and hand traps are what you need to beat PK, because if they do their board, you're getting scythed, and then you can't play. You literally can't play without an extra deck in most decks in Yu-Gi-Oh now. So it's just too much of a problem. So it being able to include hand traps is good. I still think it's way too bricky. I don't like it as a deck, not just because I lost to it. I've literally tried to play this deck so many times and went 0-2. Maybe I just suck, but it's I just don't like it. But I do think it can play hand traps well, and it's always going to just be that anti-meta deck of the format. Next deck, I would still have Drytrons as being tier 1. The Protoss ban means that, they don't have to like cater their whole deck to countering Swordsoul like they did before. I think that it's not too bad versus PK. I mean, it's a deck that's always played 3 droplets. It's a deck that can play cards like 3 Lancia and even Search Lancia. Lancia is very strong versus PK. So I think Drytron, besides being just like kind of bricky, like they've always been, because it's a combo deck, you need 2 Drytrons or Rituals to play. That's my only problem with it, so it hasn't really changed. Kind of like Invoked, right? So I think it's still tier 1, but that's my reasoning. And then Spell Striker. I do not think Spell Striker is that good. I don't think it will win, but see, I was thinking of putting it to tier 1, but I don't think it'll win a tournament. I think Swordsoul really counter it well. I think Phantom Knights counter it pretty well too. I don't think they have any edge over like the new best decks, Phantom Knights, Swordsoul. They can play hand traps, which is what we're saying we need, because how the hell do we stop PK's board without hand traps? But the problem is you need 2 of them because they have an Omni Negate. So definitely don't think Swordsoul got any sort of buffs from this ban list or any archetypes coming out. Brave tokens are cool, I guess, but then you have monsters in the main monster zone. Tri-Brigade, I still think Tri-Brigade's tier 1, but I do not think it will win an event. The DP build's solid, and just what I was saying with hand traps, Tri-Brigade's always been a deck that can just play a ton of hand traps in it. So it does have potential. Wouldn't put it in promising just because it's been so good in the past already, so it's kind of like it's cemented still in that spot. I do think it'll be in top 16 and whatever, just like all these other decks, For any more tier 1 decks? No, I don't think so. That's it. Alright, so promising, first one's going to be Eldlich with 3 skill drain, maybe a bunch of other floodgates. I do not like the Cyber's Gadget build, but I do think that the trap version has promise. I think cards like Goes and Match are broken, Rivalry, there can only be one. Like, all these floodgates are really good, and especially the fact that you don't have to use your extra deck. It gives you a chance versus PK. It definitely can be built in different ways, like so many different ways, and it's really interesting in that way. But I think that it can capitalize off like the next YCS. I could definitely see it winning an event. And I just think it's, just a sleeper deck that everyone hates because it plays traps. Floowandereeze. Now, Floowandereeze, I think, get better with Swordsoul being less played. I definitely think a lot of Swordsoul players are going to gravitate to PK. Thought Swordsoul was the best counter to Floowandereeze. So, now they have an edge. They also don't depend on their extra deck. So it's just a little trouble going second for the deck, but I definitely see it having potential. Salamangreat. I think Salamangreat have a little trouble with Nibiru, and like I said, it's not going to be that played. So I definitely think this deck could just like actually, maybe not win a tournament, but I think it could get like top 4 at the next YCS. I never played during like the format it was out, but its combos are ridiculous, and it's just still a pretty consistent deck. Prank Kids, I think are pretty promising. They are hit by Nibiru, so it's pretty cool. I don't really have much experience with prank kids, to be honest. Just playing against them, and I just think they've always been this really strong deck. Will they win? They should probably be in the same category as Spell Striker because they won't. So I mean, I guess that's a little disingenuous with my category won't win, but it's just I don't know. These decks are just cool, and if someone really broke the mold for them, I think they could actually do something crazy. Now we have plunders. Reason I don't think plunders like get that much better, even though a lot of people have said they will, it's just because I don't think anything changed. Like the ability to summon a monster on your opponent's turn, they're still gonna have Fogblade, they're still gonna have Celestial Draw, and you know your only answer is to run janky cards like Evenly and all these Dark Ruler going second cards. Dark Ruler doesn't do anything to PK, but I mean, I'm sure they'll play it if they're playing the go second build. The Kaiju's. It's just not enough, and I don't think that it does anything like differently. It's a combo deck that bricks as well. I just don't think it's consistent, and I don't think it's like a good meta call, honestly. Dragonlinks, Dragonlinks, I don't think really they just do so much worse than all these other decks, but they do capitalize off Nibiru. So I definitely think, you know, Dragonlinks could be in the promising category before. It's just had too much of a reputation for me to, like, you know, put it. Obviously, we know Dragonlinks are really powerful and that they might be better than Prank Kids, especially without Nibiru. But what does Dragonlinks do? Does it just do what Swordsoul does worse? Then why am I playing it? I love the intricacies of the deck. I love that like every hand can be played differently, even though you're making the same striker Romulus. But I do think that it will capitalize off Nibiru not being played as much, but it can't play hand traps that well, and hand traps are going to be really good versus PK. It's really what you need for the Scythe or droplets, and it, you know, doesn't really entertain those as much as like a 3 skill drain does for Prank Kids. And then Madolche, just a fun deck to just put there. Any other deck you thought, like Mecha Knights, I would probably put them in the won't win category as well. These were just like 4 decks, Prank Kids barely, that I thought were pretty cool and should be explored more in this format. But Madolche, insane going first, kind of unbeatable, but going second, pretty bad, and I don't think their PK matchup is strong at all. Only reason I think like a deck like Madolche and Flunder are cool is because they can run Dimension Shifter. Dimension Shifter is busted. If your deck can run Dimension Shifter, that's kind of your only chance going second versus PK. So it definitely has some potential if your deck can utilize that, but other than that, you know, we're going to be playing cards like Lancia and Dropless because that's our only out to the Tier 0 deck. So that's the tier list. If you enjoyed it, let me know. And like I said before, if you have any critiques or recommendations for me to do in the future, and maybe this was too generic for the content I've been doing lately, just let me know. I appreciate all feedback, and have a good day.